Welcome, broadcasting to the entirety of the Super Smash Bros. Community. This is Beyond the Metagame. I'm your host, Peon, this week live from the Infirmary Ward. I'm joined, as always, by one of our co-hosts, AV. AV, how's it going, big boy?
I'm all beat up. Your antics is what got me in here in the first place.
Well, yeah, I should apologize. So a lot of people were wondering, hey, Peon, AV, BTM, where the hell's the episode? Last week, I was sick as a dog, AV, and I don't know where that expression actually hails from because I have two dogs, AV, and they're both very healthy.
Yeah, I have no clue either. All I know is that, like, dogs' noses become, like, dry when they're sick. I don't know anything about, like, them being super sick. Yeah, I have actually pondered that multiple times. So getting validation on like, the etymology and the history of that phrase is very near and dear to my heart.
Well, thank God. But yeah, man, I've been struggling. Like I think 2 days ago, I was finally able to speak again.
Okay.
But if you heard a podcast of me last week, you would have turned it off within a minute and a half. I sounded so gross and sick. But the good news is it is past. I feel healthy. I'm happy as a clam. Also, don't know where that one comes from. And I'm feeling good, Abby. I'm happy to be here. And it's good to be back. But guys, if you're enjoying this podcast so far, well, do I have good news for you? If you do, subscribe to the BTM Patreon, you will gain access to our sister show, Beyond the Metagame, where we speak about everything but Super Smash Brothers. We actually just released an episode on that yesterday, so if you do want to support AV and I, go ahead and check that out. But I don't want to really dance around too many topics today. We have a good episode. I kind of want to get right to it. Do you want to kind of brace the audience in preparation for what they're about to hear?
No.
Well, allow me. This week, we're doing a hot or not. We're talking about controversial things in Smash. Some things that have been, this game's almost been out for a year now, AV, and we've kind of had a lot of time to form really solid opinions on both things that came packaged with the game and how the game has evolved, how the meta has shaped, and the game that we're playing right now competitively. We have opinions, and I kind of want to explore some of those hotter topics with you, AV.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I'm down. Yeah, I think that we've gotten to a point in the meta where stuff is settling around. I mean, it's definitely time to do another reevaluation, but before we kind of do a full assessment or disadulation or performance review or
what the hell is a disadulation? I mean, you just provided like 4 synonyms. I assume. Is that a performance review?
Yeah, if you get 3 citations, you might just end up with a full disadulation, Peon. But in any case,
look, I'll tell you right now, that is not hot. That word, that's my first judgment of the day, is that disadulation is not a word anyone should use, especially you, AV. But proceed. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. So we want to talk about what's cool and what isn't. Lots of stuff that have been kind of brushed under the metaphorical rug. And I think that we want to uncover some of the things that a lot of people have been talking about. There's been a lot of rumblings about certain things being a little too good, certain things being overrated. So we have a little fun game that we're going to play for you guys today to uncover these mysteries.
All right, guys, all that and more in just 1 second. Welcome back to Beyond the Metagame. This week, AV and I are here to talk hot or not. And we're not talking about B-list celebrities. No, AV. We're talking about Super Smash Brothers specifically as it pertains to the competitive meta and our experience with it. AV, the first topic that's been on my mind that I've wanted to talk about in the show, but we haven't really had an excuse to discuss, is doubles. And I want to talk about doubles specifically as it relates to a side event in competition with Squad Strike, right? at majors, at locals, people, the most common side event is doubles still. But I've heard, the community, a lot of rumbling to say, look, man, Squad Strike's a better format. I don't know how I feel about this. I was hoping we could share some thoughts and pass a judgment on doubles. AV, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's been enough rumbling to make the San Andreas fault line jealous. So,
wow. That joke, not hot.
you,
I like this game.
Are you ever going to give me one?
You gotta earn it, AV. This isn't some communist China handout. I'm not just gonna give you a laugh, okay, AV? You have to, grasp it from my vocal cords, okay? I'm not just gonna give you a freebie.
All right, I will firmly grasp it. And speaking of firmly grasping things, I do want to say that doubles is one of the things that I grasped early on in like my Smash career, and I thought it was amazing. I was absolutely attracted to the idea of just having this super dope like communication in game with another player, and just developing like skills that are just so like, I guess in some ways tangential to the main goal of singles, but just are these like this kind of like beautiful like network of different combos that you can pull off with another player. And I've always been of the mind that while Squad Strike is cool, and I think it should be tried at multiple events, I think doubles is so underappreciated as it is. I don't think we could give Squad Strike the appreciation that it deserves, even if it does deserve appreciation. Because if Squad Strike deserves it, then doubles like deserves it like 3 or 4-fold, in my opinion.
Well, how come? Well, let me just agree with you on one hand. I do love doubles. I think it's an amazing avenue with which to develop like serious homies in the Smashing. It's a really great like bonding experience. Like you and I actually played doubles together right when Ultimate came out at Genesis 6. And that was so fun. We were just doubles money matching people, and we had a great time just whooping people. There's something about like whooping 2 other people with your homie that is just so fun.
Yeah.
In a way that singles isn't. But from a viewership perspective, I can confidently say I prefer Squad Strike. And I do love to play Squad Strike, but a part of me would miss the, like we were saying, a kind of homey aspect of playing doubles with your friend. There's nothing else like it. Whereas singles and Squad Strike kind of fulfill a very similar desire in my bones. So, I don't know. I mean, do you agree at least that Squad Strike is a better viewing experience?
Yeah, the thing is that now that you bring it up, I absolutely agree that it's a better viewing experience. And unfortunately, with the like nascent age that we are still in Smash esports, even though like we've made really, really large strides, I think that the viewership is the important part here, and it is what TOs are going to defer to eventually. So I think I'll be honest, like I vastly prefer playing doubles to watching doubles. So I will be sincere with you on that front. But I think that at the end of the day, I think this is like a players versus viewership battle, and at the end of the day, whatever brings in sponsorships, money, getting stuff into the hands of the best players, and getting the spotlight where it should be. I unfortunately do have to agree with you. I think I have to agree with you.
But I think there's a bit of an oversimplification. I only think it can be condensed to like players versus viewers.
Sure.
So I know a lot of people that are not about doubles, especially in Ultimate. A lot of people don't like doubles specifically in Ultimate, I've noticed. In Smash 4, it wasn't as big of an issue, at least before Cloud kind of became super dominant. I think a lot of people do love playing Squad Strike more than playing doubles.
Okay, yeah.
And you know what I mean? So it's like, I think the viewers certainly prefer. I mean, I'm sure some people prefer watching doubles, but I think it's a minority. I think most people prefer watching Squad Strike. And I think for players, it's kind of, I don't know. I have no idea where that, I think it's mixed. I think it's probably pretty 50-50. I would love to do kind of an actual like poll on this.
Yeah, I mean, I was like thinking about it as like a comparative advantage situation, like from a macroeconomic standpoint. Whereas we're like that's where doubles has to offer something. So and that is the experience with the homies. But you may be right in the sense that in the sense that that Squad Strike may offer both both the
Yeah.
viewership and the player experience. So
Yeah, because I don't know, man. Doubles is a thing that no other fighting game really has. Like, it's a really unique component of Smash. I mean, Rivals has it too, of course, but it's a very platform fighting specific thing. And there's plenty of opportunities. Like, I'll cite Nomex, homie from the BTM Discord, runner up at the most recent BTM tournament. Um, Really cool dude. I actually met him just randomly at a local, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I think I've listened to your podcast before. It was hilarious." And he was just a super cool dude. We became pals right away.
yeah,
And then there was a doubles event. I'm like, "Yo, dude, you want to just sign up for dubs?" He's like, "Hell yeah, bro!" And we got second in a super stacked doubles bracket. It was his first ever ultimate doubles bracket, and we just were mopping the floor with all these like veteran teams, and it was hilarious. And like for that reason alone, me and Nomex are forever homies. Like, we'll always remember that. Like, there's a certain and only Smash Bros in terms of esport has that sort of spontaneous, deeply intimate, fun thing. For that reason alone, I don't think that we should ever get rid of doubles. I think it's just such a cool, unique experience.
yeah.
But can I just say this? The name of the game is Hot or Not, AV, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my ruling on lukewarm. I like doubles; it should stick around, but I do think that Squad Strike.
Choose one.
We should compromise.
Choose one. Hot or not, Peon.
I don't think I can. I think that's reductive. I think that's oversimplification.
The whole point of hot or not is reducing things and being superlative. We unfortunately we are so nuanced on this show apparently that we can't even follow the game plan of hot or not.
Come on. Okay. In that sense, at least as far as majors are concerned, I'm going to say doubles is not hot right now. I want to, when I'm watching Cosmos, when I'm watching Nairo, when I'm watching Tweak and Leo, I don't want to see them playing doubles. I want to see them doing Squad Strike. It's more fun for me. As far as locals are concerned, I think doubles is hot. Let's stick it around. I want to make friends. And if we're not playing the game, I think somewhere between those two, like maybe alternate would be a decent solution.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, what's your take?
I agree, actually. You've convinced me. I think doubles is not hot right now. I'm not sufficiently engaged in it to like follow any doubles storylines. In fact, if there are any doubles storylines, and currently there's like that huge bug with like the Pokemon Trainer Joker team, like which is kind of invalidating a lot of double sets. So I'm gonna put my not stamp on that one. So
damn, I forgot totally, and I didn't even remember that. Like,
yeah.
I've played against that team in tournament. It's annoying.
It's obnoxious, yeah. So we're gonna move on to my topic. Well, we're gonna kind of go back and forth here. So, hot or not, Void.
Void. Oh, just the player Void.
Yeah, just the player Void.
And we're not talking physically, AV, because while I'm sure Void's very handsome, he's simply not my cup of tea. I like women.
Well, yeah, even though I'm with you there, I think Void is quite cute actually.
Well, so I will say this. Void is one of my favorite playstyles to watch. That goes back to Smash 4, but his Pichu specifically was so sick.
Yeah.
Now he's been trying to make the Sheik work, and I respect it. I do, but I really like. He recently did really well at main stage, for instance, just playing Pichu and Sheik. And I think if anybody in the world can make Sheik work, it's Void or Mr. R. But I just don't think Sheik is good. Speaking of hot or not, Sheik is not hot. And thus, as long as Void is insistent on, trying to make Sheik his priority, I don't think he's going to be like a top 10 caliber player at all. I think that Pichu, while nerfed significantly, is still much better of a character than Sheik. I still think Pichu's a good character. I don't think he's like broken anymore. But I think that as long as Void has this deep desire to progress the Sheik meta, it will be to his own detriment. Not hot.
Okay, cool. I'm glad for your succinct take on that. My opinion is that I predict this is gonna be. I'm notoriously bad at predictions, but I don't care. I'm just gonna fire this one off. I predict that Void is that Sheik is currently just underdeveloped and not as bad as people think she is. And I think that Void, once he puts shows and like, I mean, she did show at main stage. Once he does kind of flesh out the character more, I think Sheik is going to become more prominent. I think while Sheik may not be absolutely hot, I think relatively hot is the
Wait,
working
relatively
term.
hot. I thought you didn't want to be all nuanced about this, Amy. I thought we were talking about relatively
Look, okay,
hot.
I can't help it, man. I can't help it. I'm just overflowing with nuance, but.
Oh my god!
No. We okay. We have to stop. No, we have to. Okay, I'll say Sheik is hot. I think Void lit some fire in my loins with Sheik, dude. Like, cause I started playing a bit of Sheik and I'm like, wait, there's some stuff with this character. I don't think her like struggle to kill is as bad as people think she is, as the people think it is. I think her neutral tools are still incredible. I think she just requires a different surgical type of play that people haven't developed. I think she reminds me a lot of the way that Inkling is played in this game, except, and I know like you have all of your opinions on Inkling and that Inkling isn't necessarily as good as people think she is, and you did an entire video on on
Oh yeah, shouts to the
Inkling.
BTM YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the hit video, Inkling is overrated.
Did he call it like the Bastion parable or something like that?
No, the Bastion fallacy.
Fallacy. Okay.
Is that what it's called? Okay, well, keep your point. I'll look for the official title just to amuse myself.
But yeah, it's like I think Sheik's not as bad as people think she is, and I think Void. I don't think like many players need to prove a character's worth in order for the character to be legit. I think there's many examples of only one notable player repping a character in the top 50, and like some good examples could be like Yoshi or Fox, or I mean I think Mario I think has 2 in Dark Wizzy and Prodigy. But I think it's doable. I'm a little hopeful. Maybe I'm very like optimistic about this. And I don't think I've reached this. I don't think I've reached this like this nihilistic state about Sheik, probably because I've played her a lot in Smash 4 and I really want her to be good, so that there might be that going there. But other than that, I think yeah, I think both Void and Sheik are hot right now.
Wow.
and they're going, and I think he's gonna pop off soon because he's just it's like there's some like time chamber stuff going on here. I think he's gonna pop off soon.
Okay. Well, I disagree, but that's what the name of the game.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of names, the name of the Inkling video is so. In hindsight, this is a bit much. Inkling was never the best character in Smash Ultimate. The Bastion fallacy, and the thumbnail says Inkling is overrated, but it's actually an interesting video. It's more nuanced than
I'm glad that you got to say this, because knowing people's knowing like the way that I've presented myself, everyone would just think, oh yeah, AV wrote that title for sure.
It's like, I think it's like every time I read that title, it has more and more words in it. I'm more and more embarrassed. Okay, AV, I have the next one for you. Okay, hot or not? Okay. Lylat.
Hot.
The stage. Hot?
Yeah.
That was quick. Okay, explain.
I love Lylat. I think people, yeah, the glitches on it are kind of weird. There's like some like ways that just grabs just straight up miss, but it's so predictable. Like the tilt is predictable. You know when the grab will miss. It's a much needed diversion from all of the from all of the stages that we have. As a DK player and someone who needs close range and diversity of platforms, Lylat is a boon for me. Lylat's my favorite stage in the entire game. If we were to take that stage out, I feel like my counterpicking would become like, instead of wild, it would become mild. Like there's I feel like I would feel trapped of nowhere to go. There's I don't want to get too into this because I'm foreshadowing a conversation that we're probably going to have in the future, but I think that it's necessary for a lot of characters, and taking it out, even it like it is really bad for the game, even with the random uh, faults that it has in its code.
Yeah, I see. I just disagree. I don't like it. I think okay, Lylat not hot. We'll start there. If you
Okay.
can convince me, please do. But I don't like Lylat because in a world where we also have Yoshi's Melee, Yoshi's Story, um, it is and Battlefield, right, and Pokemon Stadium 2. There's all these stages with platforms, on the side near the edge of the stage. It's just it makes certain characters have such a strong pool of stages to pick from, especially in a best of 3, that like even in a game 3 where you have the counter pick advantage, or like they're still going to end up somewhere that's favorable for them. Like if you're playing against a Mario, right? They have Lylat, Battlefield, Yoshi's Melee, Town, like every stage they can go to that is really amazing for them. And there's not enough stages like FD or, um, you know, Town and City during the transformation where there's no platforms
Okay.
that have a flat sort of like a Kalosy sort of vibe. And it's so annoying. Every time I play against a Mario or something, it's like, okay, I ban Yoshi's Melee and Battlefield. Okay, we're going to Lylat. And I'm just going to get laddered. Like when you play in a region with Prodigy, you just feel it. Like you get hit one time and you just get up there in perpetuity. Uh, I just think that we shouldn't have 3 stages that allow for super easy laddering.
All right, so we're gonna do some double jeopardy here. So on my list for hot or not, I had Yoshi's Story, and the thing is that I wanted to bring like kind of parlay that into a discussion about Double Battlefield. So I think we can double up here and not talk about this twice, and kind of
Right.
integrate it into this conversation. And here's the thing: in my local, we don't have both battlefields. We only have Lylat and regular Battlefield. Now here's
Okay.
now here's the thing, because that in that environment, um the whole game changes, right? I vastly prefer Yoshi's Story to regular Battlefield, and I like Lylat. So there's kind of this like give and take here, because whereas yeah, there's some characters that just kind of steamroll like Mario, having like as like a DK player
Or
who,
Zero Suit or
or sure,
Palutena or
yeah, there's a lot of characters that benefit from it. That's agreed. But it's like having Yoshi's Story is actually really 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 helpful for me. So I I'm kind of lost on that one, actually. If you could kind of guide me
well,
through that and give me your
do we
opinions
think
on what the balance is there.
I guess this conversation is more about having all 3 of Battlefield, Yoshi's Story, and Lylat in the mix than a singular, like in a vacuum, an evaluation of Lylat or Yoshi's Story, right? Um, they're kind of I don't know. That's the thing about each stage, is that the stage itself, it's hard to talk about without putting it in the context of a rule set,
Hmm.
right? Like Hyrule Temple is a really great stage if you're doing 8-person free for all smash with items on, right? Like if you give it the context, it could be a good stage. But in competitive Smash, I just think that because of the point I brought up about the ease of laddering on stages like Lylat, Battlefield, and Yoshi's Story, having all 3 in with the rule set of 2 bans, which is the norm in a lot of places, 2 bans and 3 stages that really benefit that archetype of character. Um, that's a problem. I think that you have to have 2 of these 3 stages, which are Battlefield, Yoshi's Melee, and Lylat, And in my opinion, Lylat's the worst stage out of those three.
All right, hear me out. Here's my suggestion for the rule set. And this is the one that I think doesn't just benefit me, because if I was going to say maximum benefit to me, we throw out Battlefield and we keep Yoshi's and Lylat. Obviously, that'll never happen because Battlefield is regarded as a staple stage, and that's probably never going to change. My suggestion is that we keep all three, but banning Battlefield bans both Yoshi's Story and Battlefield.
I just think they're way too different. Like, just because there's three platforms, that's like the only thing they have in common.
Right.
They're really shallow, horizontal blast zones on Yoshi.
Yeah, the blast zones are completely different.
The downward tilted ledge makes two framing super easy on Yoshi's Story.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So characters like Wolf, which I use a lot, really can get some grimy early kills off the side with like a super easy two frame down smash at like 40. So they're different stages. Battlefield is huge. Has a really large ceiling, so you can recover super low with like Inkling, and also Yoshi's Melee has that wall, right, which changes things.
All right,
I just think they're too different. That's why I don't like the double ban. It isn't in Smash 4. You had that with Dreamland and Battlefield, but they were way more similar.
All right,
the Dreamland just had a shorter ceiling, and
I think you're right.
Would blow.
Yeah, I think you're right. That being said, I'm okay with just having Lylat and Battlefield. I think that, and just not having Yoshi's Story legal, but I don't think you're okay with that either. So your thing is just ban Lylat straight up, huh?
Right. I mean, I guess I'm interested in what the listeners have to say about this too.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can justify having all three of those stages. If people disagree, I'd love to hear their thoughts on that. But for me, Lylat, it's just so inconsistent. The floor is so weird. The ledge has a lot of weird stuff. I like the stage. I do. I think it's fun to play on, just like in a casual or even competitive sense. But in terms of like what makes sense for a rule set and like in certain matchups, I just don't think it should be legal.
All right. I think we've
given the assumption that Yoshi's Melee and Battlefield are also legal.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting there. But I think we've wrapped this up pretty well. I think the listener's gonna have to make a decision on that, and I'm actually interested in what people have to say about this, because I think this goes either way. Like, and there's like so many different arguments you could make, especially as Peon contextualized with the rule set.
Right. And I'm not actually super passionate about like rule set semantics. Like, I'm kind of the person, just put me, sub me in, coach, I'm ready to play. Like, I don't really care that I'm not super passionate about rule sets and stage lists, but that is my take on Lylat. I just wanted to put it out there.
Well, you heard it here first. Peon will play any rule set imaginable. So
just give me the sticks, baby. Give me the controller. I'm ready to take you down, AV. Okay.
So let's make him regret that. I want all of you to send me your most ridiculous rule set, and I will play Peon in the
play me in my own red room, for Christ's sake. I'm ready. Strap me up. Tie me down. AV, I have a hot one for you, since you just gave me your Yoshi's Melee. Is it my turn or your turn? I guess. Okay,
I'll give it to you.
So this one, not so competitive, but due to some unforeseen circumstances and some power outages in my area of Northern California, I have been playing a lot of handheld Switch, because my TV hasn't had power. Therefore, I have been playing a lot of World of Light in handheld form. This is something we haven't talked about on the show for 10 months, I think.
For good reason.
And I want to say something bold, AV. I do.
Oh, no.
World of Light is indeed hot.
Are we just going to disagree on every single one? Is that
let me convince you, okay? So you have finished World of Light, right?
No.
Okay, but you played a majority of it in one large push, right? You kind of sat down and no-lifed it for a little bit.
To give another like recap of, I think I gave this story already a few times, like I think twice, but just to give a recap, I was super excited. I told Dane at the beginning of Smash Ultimate, I'm not going to be competitive right from the get-go. I'm going to go into World of Light and enjoy myself. I spent 2 hours in World of Light, got bored as all hell, and started grinding in the lab.
Wait, that was the last time you touched it too?
That was the last time I touched it.
Okay, dude. My experience of World of Light has been a lot different. Like I told you, like, dude, there's no way when the game comes out, I'm just gonna be like labbing stuff. That's what I'm just gonna be tryharding, trying to get an edge on my like people, my local and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what ended up happening. But throughout, like sometimes I would get really bored and I'd just like play an hour of World of Light, 2 hours of World of Light. My girlfriend was watching me play and she was like, oh, like trying to if she didn't know who the spirits were, and she usually didn't because she's not like she's not really much of a gamer. I could tell her, oh yeah, it's like Chun-Li from Street Fighter, and she's like really cool. She was the first girl in the Street Fighter series, and it's always kind of what made her stand out. She's really badass, and she kicks stuff. And so, oh, cool. And it was kind of cool, like sharing the sort of history of video games with her in that way. And look, the gameplay is pretty repetitive, and there's a lot of problems with it. But in terms of like a pick up and play, when you're super bored, put like an hour into it, put 30 minutes into it. It's just like Smash in a bunch of weird scenarios with a bit of RPG elements while also celebrating all the franchises and like the history of video games. I think it's fun. I think it's way better than Subspace Emissary in terms of actual gameplay. And I don't think it's like the second coming of Christ, but I've actually been really enjoying it.
So I have this sixth sense, and I can tell when someone's trying to sell me something.
Okay.
And you're a good salesman, and I'm not falling for this. Here's the thing. You contextualize World of Light as this wonderful history, like Disney tour through Sakurai's castle.
Yeah.
And you tried to slip in the fact that it's boring, repetitive gameplay playing Smash. But that's literally what it is. The only reason this was even a good experience for you is because you turned it in. You turned it into something great, and I applaud you for that. I think that's awesome. But here's the thing.
That's what Smash is. Like Smash, you can play it a million different ways. The way that we play it is like profoundly fulfilling, and we've made a podcast about it, competing and becoming a better person. Right?
Wait, look,
that Smash is all about what you do with it.
It's like
as is World of Light.
Okay, have you ever seen like the Australian guy like commentates on YouTube?
Steve Irwin?
No, no, it's where like some Australian guy will just commentate over some random video.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That's a good example of someone making like random videos or random things just amazing by the merit of like his own like just he's like transcending his own wonderful like spirit into this video. You can make like professional cornhole look really dope if you have like incredible commentary over it. That's what's going on here.
How many of our international listeners are like, what the hell is cornhole and why does it sound so sexual and not in a good way? No, I actually I was eating pizza in Lake Tahoe with one of my friends and her dad, and it was just the three of us, and we were sitting outside. It was like a pretty busy, poppin' restaurant in Tahoe, and outside, like, so we're waiting for our table, and it was after a day of skiing. We were cold. We just wanted some pepperonis, and there was just like this family playing cornhole, and I see my two Dutch companions looking over at like, what the hell is that? Like almost looking like little kids look at lions during lunchtime at the zoo, like wide-eyed and curious, but perhaps morbidly so. And I'm like, do you guys know what that is over there? They're like, no, we were just going to ask you, what the hell is that? I'm like, guys, that's cornhole. And they're like, what? Cornhole? Why is it named that? And I was like, actually, I have no idea. That's a good question.
All right, we're not going to explain the game because I think it's more hilarious for everyone else to find out.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. We'll move on. But what were you saying? Transcending cornhole. You're talking about the Australian guy.
Yeah, okay. So going all the way back, I think you just sold it really well. There's no way you can get me to believe this. After playing and loving and adoring Subspace Emissary.
What are you, Subspace Emissary? You just run to the right and you punch a bunch of like vaguely generic video game enemies. You're not even like running through. Like the whole thing is so generic. There's no like, we're running through Donkey Kong's jungle and like, there's no, it's just a bunch of generic Smash gray goop where you just run to the right and you punch stuff. Like it's so.
What about Melee Adventure Mode?
Melee Adventure Mode's dope.
Okay.
I mean, it's limited, but for the time it was cool. That's what Subspace Emissary was supposed to be, was like a really large melee adventure mode, but it wasn't. It was weird.
But the bosses were dope. Like all of the boss fights were awesome. Like all
they were
of the
cool.
I think the levels was cool. Like playing, like fighting random dudes in the jungle and just unlocking characters.
Like,
through
could
the,
you remember
through the
one
story
name
mode.
of an enemy? Like, not the bosses, but just the generic enemies that you would fight for 95% of Subspace Emissary. Can you remember one of them?
I don't know. I feel like I fought a claptrap at one point.
Did you? Maybe you did. But I don't think you did. I think that was just like an item, and wasn't it?
maybe.
I don't know. Who the hell knows? The Subspace had cool cut
Okay, well,
scenes. I'll give it that.
I can name you like every boss, like Gallium, Duon, Rayquaza, Taboo.
Yeah, the PD Piranha,
PD Piranha, Meta Ridley, like all.
Yeah, those were cool. I'll give you that. Those were dope.
Okay, okay. My official rating, World of Light, not.
I think you should give it more time. Like, seriously, I want you to put in, like, because you kind of get the board itself. Like, today I was playing, dude. I didn't even know this is a thing. And like, I got to like Bowser's castle, and there was like this like puzzle to get to the end, and then you fight Giga Bowser, and then you just unlock Bowser, and you like, you had it was cool. It was like a whole like lava castle, and it was just dope. I don't know. I just was like, this is pretty fun. I don't know. And like, to get to Bowser itself, you had to press those like buttons that are found like in Super Mario. What's the game? Christ, what's the SNES game? Super Mario World. Yeah. Well, I don't know why I'm overcomplicating things. On Super Mario World, you had to press the button to like make the blocks appear in certain levels, like the yellow button, the red button. And like, they paid homage to that by like, you had to find buttons to make the bridges appear. And it was so cool. I was like, this is such a great little nod to Super Mario World. And I just thought it was really good.
I can't believe you're shitting on Subspace Emissary, calling it a blob, a smash goop, and you're getting like excited over like P blocks.
Because it's a genuine nod to the source material. I appreciate that, Sakurai. Good work, my boy.
All we need to impress Peon are subtle nods to subtle homages. All right, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
okay.
Agree to disagree. I will take you up on that, and I will play at least another hour of World of Light. You have my word on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. But what do you got? You're up.
All right. So my next one is Game & Watch.
Game & Watch. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say hot. BTM Hall of Famer Meister doing big things at Big House specifically. Honestly, almost secured himself in grand finals of a super major with Game & Watch. He SD'd super unfortunately. Like if he didn't SD against DeBuzz and his penultimate stock in Game 5, I think he would have won. And again, I don't want to play that I would, should, I could. I mean, DeBuzz won. Grats to him. But Meister, the way he was playing was just absurd. And Zachary has been incorporating Game & Watch into his roster, his ever-growing roster. The character's good. Up B out of shield. Such an amazing counter punch. Every time someone hits their shield, boom, get launched. Very often true combos in the up air. He has the kind of gimmicky, we'll call it the Smash 4 factor, of like sometimes he can just get a death combo off zero with the 9 judge, right? He has some crazy stuff, and he's just all around hard to hit, hard hitting, really great ledge trapping, really great edge guarding. I think he's a good character. I don't know if he's top tier, but I certainly think he's a great character. And I think if he wasn't such an unconventional character to actually pilot, we would see him a lot more often in top level play. But seeing Meister's recent results and Zachary's willingness to include him to his roster, I think that's as good of a sell that you could possibly need when answering the question, is Game & Watch a good character?
I think you summed it up really well, and I kind of echo a lot of your sentiments. He's hot. I think there's no universe that I don't think there's no universe in which Game & Watch doesn't at least have some results. I think that he just has so many tools for every type of situation. Bacon is or Chef is really amazing at edge guarding. Dash attack is like, it's like probably one of the safest dash attacks in the game,
Wait,
like
is
you
that
mentioned.
move really called Chef?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes sense. I've just never heard anyone say that.
Yeah. Well, today you learned. And
Can we call it the Bobby Flay from now on?
all right, done. Deal.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Oh, yeah, the Bobby Flay is mad annoying though. It is.
Oh my god, you're
Dude,
telling me.
it is so annoying because you just keep flaying them over and over at the ledge, and then throwing that dash attack for the kill. Like that thing racks up like 30-40% randomly on DK. You just can never come back. It's so crazy.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, watching Meister use Game Watch at Big House was so inspiring. Like the dude is just such a cold-blooded killer, and he really kind of showcased the offensive capabilities of Game and Watch. Like
Yeah.
his actual juggle game and his edge guarding game was stuff like that super active, super lethal back air, when paired with his like amazing recovery, makes his edge guard so like risk free. And it's just so incredible watching him do stuff off stage. And just on a personal note, I love Meister. That dude is so nice. Having him on the show he was such a chill guest. And for some reason, me and him have always had just like a weird sort of kinship. Like I think we like went to war in a past life. I don't know why, but I love that dude. Like we have a really weird chemistry that I'm just so happy to see him do these big things because he's one of the few top players that I actually really know well, and he's like just such an. When I first met him, he wasn't that he wasn't even on the PGR. He isn't right now technically, but he was just so like happy-go-lucky and just wanted to learn about the game, and he was so driven and motivated. It's just so cool to see him succeed. Shouts to the BTM Hall of Famer Meister. On a personal note,
I think you've summed it up well, and I think the real question is that we're going to find out: is Game and Watch actually that hard to pilot? And that's the question we're going to find out in the upcoming months, because I think there's going to be some people that will pick that character up as we're seeing all of these options flesh out. So moving on to the next one, what do you have for me, Peon?
Okay, buddy, we're sticking with a character theme. Luigi. So I'm going to ask you this, Abhi. Hot or not in terms of how good do you think the character is? And then, on a separate note, hot or not, how good do you think this character is for the game?
Okay. This is another fairly easy one for me. He's a bad character, and he's bad for the game. So not and not.
Whoa. Okay, I think he's a good character. I disagree with you. I think he's busted. But I also think he's terrible for the game. We at least agree on that part. I think if I had to complain, you don't hear me complain on this show too much about like, oh, this character needs nerfs, this character needs nerfs, this character needs a buff. I don't really, I'm like I said with the stage thing. The game in front of me is a game I'll play. I'm not really going to be concerned about like what I can't control, right? I think that's just a good lesson that Smash has taught me. Like at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control, and you might as well devote all your effort to that, right? So I don't bitch about character imbalance too often. But I do think Luigi needs to be changed. I think like having a super consistent, reliable 0 to death off a grab is just obnoxious. It's just obnoxious. I have a bunch of Luigis in my region, and playing against any of them is just so not fun. At the beginning of every stock, you're just running around until they decide that they're bored of fishing for the 0 to death, and they'll finally comp. Like literally, sometimes I'll just jump into disadvantage above them, hoping that they'll aerial me to knock me out of the true percent window for the 0 to death, just so we can start playing neutral, and just so I can like take one risk while like it being worth the risk reward ratio, right? Like it's just so bad for the game. Okay. Rant over. I apologize.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I like that like chase at the beginning of the game. I don't think anything else in the game makes me feel like more alive. Like just it's like the fact that you can die at any moment if you just get grabbed.
I thought I was the sadomasochist in this program, maybe. You're really starting to,
This is your fault. No, I've actually
I've changed you for the worse.
No, I've actually always felt this way. I think it's actually kind of fun because I'm used to like always taking damage on purpose. As a heavy main, you always need to know when to take damage, know how to take it elegantly. So
Was that a Luigi pun?
oh my god, it was. I- but
Unintentional, but we'll give you the credit.
I'll take it. But here's the thing. Like, I don't think Luigi's very good. His aerial drift sucks. He has like a decent projectile to kind of force you to approach, but it's like it kind of clanks with everything. Like it's you can as if you can stop Luigi's game plan, and if you just don't play Luigi's game, I don't think he's very good. You can spam grabs as much as you want, but I'm such a camp. I just camp the crap out of Luigi. I will circle camp. I'll run away. I will make their life a personal hell if they keep just trying to grab me over and over again. And I love that. Any player or character where I just get to run away and camp, and that becomes like an optimal strategy as DK is so much fun for me because then when people start getting frustrated, my advantage state just goes off. So there's this beautiful cat and mouse game that goes on, and I think it's cool, and I don't think Luigi's is good because I think you just have to not play his game and just stop running head first into him. That
Yeah,
being
I just don't like
mm,
characters that like you have to play a very specific way against them specifically. Like
right,
I don't like
yeah.
it when a single character can change the rules of the game. Like
That kind of falls into the second point that you brought up, which I'm glad that you followed it up with that because I would have brought that up too. I think we're on the same page there. Just because I enjoy this game doesn't mean it's good. It's healthy for the metagame. I think that he's way too polarizing. He needs an actual identity that's not just chucking plungers at people, even though that is what he did in Luigi's Mansion. I don't, but I don't think he just like he sat on. Did he sit on ghosts and then like combo and like Bayonetta combo them until their death?
I don't, I don't. I was young when I first played that game, but I don't seem to remember like needing to learn how to SDI while playing through Luigi's Mansion One.
And it's the ghosts that need to SDI, right?
Isn't there a multiplayer mode, or is that only in
I
the
don't know.
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moons or whatever the hell the sequel is called
Well,
on the 3DS?
well, here's the thing. Yeah, I think Nintendo's done a poor job of, and the thing is, I say this as like a backseat developer. I say this in the lightest form possible because I know developing and fleshing out a character is so difficult on so many levels. So so this criticism comes with the tiniest grain of salt. It should come with, or maybe the most chunky grain of salt. Uh, I think that I think that Luigi's unfortunately just been turned into an unfortunately very linear character, which does not represent his character at all. Like he's supposed to be this like emblem of chaos, this like antimatter Mario, where it's like where he creates like in Brawly, like his Final Smash was creating the negative zone, like it's like he has this like funky like aspect to him, and I think they lost it.
I agree. I think you said it better than I ever could be capable of saying it. Okay, but we do differ on whether or not we think Luigi is good.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's not. I think that his linearity doesn't make him bad inherently. When his advantage state is so strong, he has so many kill confirms that somebody. Of course, he has some really bad matchups. He gets edge guarded super hard, but I think he's good. But I don't want to argue about that too much.
Sure.
I'm going to say Luigi is hot. Pick him up if you want to cheese your friends. Is he good for the game? Not hot. AV, what's your final ruling?
Final ruling is, and I will contextualize this saying, given that I can only choose between hot or not, I choose not. I think Luigi is viable, but I don't think he's hot. So
Okay, fair.
I think I will say he is not hot and he is not good for the game. So
Okay, what do you got next?
well, here's the thing. I have Shirtless Shulk.
Holy hell! Well, you don't need me to tell you that Shirtless Shulk is one fine piece of ass, AV. Hot.
All right, there we go. In without jest, I have Samsora.
Wait, that was such a turn. That was so I didn't. Okay. I don't see how the two relate,
Oh, they
and it
don't.
caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was the joke, right? Sam Sora. What do you mean, Sam Sora? Sam Sora's hot. Sam Sora's amazing. What's the debate here about? Isn't he like? I mean, didn't he just win Shine or what was it? I forget the. I think he won Shine. He's amazing.
Yeah, no, I just
That's
kind
my
of
answer.
well, that's unfortunately not very discussion provoking. But no, but here's the thing.
What is there a debate to be had?
Oh
Please,
yeah, well,
I'm curious to why is this even a question?
okay. So here's the point I want to ask you, and I want to get your opinion on. So we did see him kind of go through this like beautiful formative period, the hero's journey, and eventually climax in beating MKLeo. Do you think that this is going to become a golden age for Samsora, or do you think this was like a one off thing? I mean, he has shown like obviously below average for him like performances recently, and outside of I mean outside of Shine, do you think that it was a bubble? Do you think that it's sustainable, and do you think Samsora is going to cement himself in the top five, or do you or do you think that people are just going to adapt to it?
I mean, Sam Sora certainly already cemented himself in like the current top five. I think it's probably like in some order: Leo, Tweak, and Mars, and then Sam Sora. In terms of the top four, in my opinion, anyway. Um, but you know, I think that Peach is a really technical character. I think after you win a major like Shine, perhaps you can kind of get in your own head about things, and it's like what do they call it? They call it like the Sports Illustrated cover effect or whatever. Like
Sure, sure.
the year following an appearance of like a player on the cover of a Sports Illustrated is usually like a worse than average performance, right? Like, so if you put the star quarterback on Sports Illustrated next season, apparently, statistically speaking, he's going to do worse than his previous season. But of course, that's just because you earned the cover page by having a really statistically amazing season. Chances are you're probably not going to be able to follow up, right? Like just
Yeah. All
mathematically.
right. You know
I think
what?
that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I think Sam Sora had a really great performance at Shine. I think
Okay.
he wasn't expected to win, and I don't think he's expected to win the next major. But I think he's still equally capable, and I think that his peach is going to be taking names at a very consistent rate as it is now.
You know, some things don't have to be complicated. Samsara's hot. I think I think it's pretty solid. I think the one thing to speculate on, which I think is a bit too speculative, and the arguments would probably be a bit contrived there, is whether or not he has what it takes to solidly become the number one player in the world.
I love
That's
Sam Sora. Side
yeah,
note, just Sam Sora's
yeah,
hilarious.
he's awesome.
It's a nice dude. I saw this like
Yeah.
Twitter interaction that was just amazing between Scar and Sam Sora,
Hmm.
where Sam Sora saw Scar in an elevator. It was the two of them,
Oh yeah.
and Sam Sora was like, "Hey, aren't you wife?" And like from the Melee documentary and everything, and Scar was actually like, "Oh no, I'm actually Scar," and Sam Sora apparently was just like, "Oh," and just like wanted to die of embarrassment. And so Sam Sora made a tweet about this, and then Bobby Scar replied like, "Hey, dude, I'll do you one worse. I had no idea who you were," and it was a great interaction. But no, Sam Sora was lovely and hot. Av, my next one for you. Get this, it's my final one. And speaking of Scar, speaking of the melee space, I want your thoughts on Armada and Leffen in Smash Ultimate. Of course, they're both going to be appearing at the Beyond the Summit um, invitational event, the second one for Smash Ultimate, coming up soon. They both got voted in, and they both have an amazing resume under their belts, both fighting games. Even I was going to say Melee, but also I think both of them have put up good results in Ultimate. Leffen more so than Armada, but Armada did some big things at main stage last weekend, and I think had a pretty respectable showing at Big House as well. So, what are your thoughts? What are their potentials? How are they going to do at Summit? I just want to hear all your takes on how hot they are.
Um, honestly, I'm gonna say not. Yeah,
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's pretty bold, dude. What the hell? Okay.
But
Unpack that, please.
unfortunately, I don't get to separate Armada and Leffen. So because they are kind of packaged in this beautiful Swedish meatball. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I have to say no. I'm not. Meatball's not on the menu for Summit. I think because I have to say that they're split too thinly. I think across a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do, and I respect both of them a lot. I look up to them both as players immensely, and I've always loved watching them play Melee, but I honestly don't think they have what it takes to break in to the to I don't think either of them even have a shot of making top 8 at Summit.
Really? That's interesting. I think Armada specifically doesn't have a shot, but um, let's talk maybe not just Summit, right? I
Sure.
agree with you. I think not hot in terms of a Summit top 8 performance. I think you and I actually made an episode kind of specifically about Summit last time around because it was such a big kind of talking point at the time. Like they
Mm-hmm.
invited the Melee player, the Melee gods back, and it was this whole sort of like Melee versus Smash Ultimate sort of. It was a pretty interesting storyline they had going. And we didn't predict much success out of Leffen and Armada then, and Mango, rest in peace, and Mewtwo King, rest in peace. But um, I don't think that changes for me either. So I'll say not hot in terms of their performance in Summit. But what about like long term? How do you think that like in a year or two we're going to be seeing like Armada's slow climb to dominance? Like he's proven he's been capable of doing in a Smash title. Or is there something inherently different about Smash Ultimate that will allow him and both his other Swedish colleague Leffen to do the same?
Um, I think the tools you get from playing a bunch of fighting games aids Leffen a lot. I think the tools Armada has developed over time playing Smash help him a lot. Unfortunately, if they don't make the hard plunge into the game, I don't see them being top players. There's no one. I'm purely going by track record and by who the best players in the game are, and people's overall improvement over time. We have not seen that many newcomers break into the upper echelon, and I mean the upper echelon of pro players. And I think that if anyone were to break into that, it would likely be a like a like someone who like someone who likes who is one of the old Brawl Smash 4 players rather than Armada or Leffen, just purely based off of statistics and track records, because I think it's too speculative to say anything otherwise.
Okay, I mean I agree. I do think that both of them, especially, I mean, Leffen has Melee to balance, right? So Ultimate's always going to be like his number two, right? Which I think will stop a lot of his progress. And Armada, I don't, he doesn't seem to have the same fighting spirit anymore. Like there was something about even his posture when he would sit down in front of a CRT. He just looked like a goddamn Terminator, ready to rip somebody's heart out. I always just respected the way he carried himself mid bracket. And it seems like the Ultimate, he doesn't have as much expectations of himself. He's just trying to enjoy it more and have more fun. Which, I mean, look, I hope he's happy. He's streaming, he's having fun. Look, that makes me happy because I like Armada as a person. But I think that his sort of change in attitude, his almost departure from that killer instinct we knew him from, with his Peach and Melee and his Fox. I think with that will come less results as well. Not hot for Leffen and Armada.
Cool. I think we're on the same page there, and I think you summed it up pretty well. I loved watching this cold, beautiful, surgical play from Armada, and along with his beautifully constructed mentality, like the man represents everything that you would want to emulate out of a Smash player in his prime in Melee. If you want to look at someone to not only emulate as an in game, but also like out of the game, the way that he carried himself, the way that he handled his wins, his losses, it's very respectable. And if we got to see that, if I saw that like that fire or sparkle in his eyes, I could see some amazing things from him.
It would make me happy.
It would
I
make me
think there's
very
a bit.
happy
I think
too.
a part of that's still there. I still see glimpses
Okay.
of it watching a Zinkling, but
Yeah.
and he also plays Ginger Inkling. Me and him both play Ginger Inkling, so
Yeah.
I definitely want to see him succeed for sure. I love him. I love Armada.
I think we're on the same page there, but that's going to be all the time that we have for that segment. So
That was fun, Abby. I'm
yeah.
happy we kind of got to get some of those things out into the waves, the wavelengths of audio. I'm happy to finally kind of, because a lot of those topics were like so micro, it was hard to actually bring them up in a more structured weekly episode. So I'm happy we
Right.
kind of just got to do a little tell all and divulge into various topics. But AV, it's no longer our turn to decide what we're talking about. We're turning the microphone, well, not the microphone, but metaphorically the microphone, over to you. That's right, you, the listener at home. Okay, if you want to be featured on the podcast, go ahead and submit your questions in the BTM Discord. And speaking of the Discord, AV, there's never been a better time to join. That's absolutely correct. You can join in the show notes or in the YouTube description or on our website, beyondmetagame.com, and you can submit a question to the channel in the Discord that says podcast-questions. This week, AV, I'll read the first one to you from Puso. I really, really am happy that I seemingly pronounced that correctly.
It's hard to mess that one up, man.
It could go wrong real quick, Puso. Okay, so dodged a bullet there. I know there's lots of variables that makes a successful player, but in your eyes, is it being mechanically gifted with the controller or the ability to read and adapt to your opponent more important for success?
Straight out of the gate, being able to read and adapt, 100%. Any day, I'll take that over being mechanically gifted. Just put any big body in my hand. Put any very simple character, a sword character, in my hand that requires minimal mechanical gifts from whatever divine being has presented me with them, and I think I'll be able to mess people up. I do not.
Sorry to cut you off. I don't think there's even such a thing as being mechanically gifted. There's no technical ability that you're born with. Babies don't come out of the womb with an ability to raw back air. People have to learn. You have to literally just grind in the lab the tech skill. However good you want your tech skill to be, it can be. You just if you have the time and the dedication, it will happen. Unless, of course, you actually have a physical disability or a physical ailment or an injury, of course. Right. Ruling that out, if you want to be technical in Smash, you can be technical. But there is sort of this keen, almost unteachable instinct when it comes to understanding how your opponent flows and makes decisions, and you can certainly teach that too. I mean, when AV and I do lessons to our patrons, that's actually something that we really try to emphasize, like the ability to look into those patterns. But I think if I had to be born with like one of those two, it would be a keen sense of like adaptation and having good mindset, because mechanics can always just be grinded.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. So if you don't mind, I'll fire up the next one.
Please, AV.
Okay, from Boo exclamation mark can dash edgy. Boo can edgy. No,
okay.
It's
no. I don't think you pronounce the exclamation point, AV. You just read it exuberantly, right?
All right.
Boo.
Boo. Can edgy.
Thank you.
All right. So Boo has told us in podcast questions. I am new to competitive Smash and I love it. But whenever I'm in a tournament, I constantly feel like I do well on the first stock. But after I lose my first stock, I feel like my heart beats out of my chest and I choke the match, even if I have a stock advantage. What should I do to resolve this issue?
If you take the first crack of this one.
Sure. I think that this comes from this is going to be a bad answer in terms of it's a non-answer, and I hate giving non-answers, but nerves are not are not something that you can just immediately poof away with the snap of a finger, and it usually has to do with nerves because like it's either that or your opponent or your opponent is adapting a lot faster than you are. But if it seems like if your heart is beating out of your chest, it's probably the former. So here's the thing. The only way to that, in my opinion, to kind of keep yourself in a comfortable situation is as I've as my mantra is on this show is to get yourself in a really comfortable situation. Get yourself into the most comfortable situation you can be in, and ignore outside elements to the game, such as like as it doesn't matter who you're playing against, it doesn't matter what character you're playing against. Be like Peon, pick up the sticks, go into the game, be someone you can just be subbed in like by your coach, and get in and have this beautiful routine that you can consistently do to get you into this competitive mindset. There's no perfect answer for this. I think it's hard, but just make sure that you're like bringing your towel to get rid of sweat. Make sure that you're sufficiently hydrated. Make sure you're not drinking too much caffeine. That can obviously increase your heart rate. And if your heart rate is super elevated, you are going to not be playing optimally.
Right, Av, I don't like your answer, and that's totally fine. I think there's like so many different ways to deal with nerves, and I think that works for you, and it wouldn't work for me. But maybe that's why it's good that we're both answering this, because
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
one of our methods will work. Because I think that what you just suggested was kind of reactive, like dealing with the nerves in a sort of inevitability, as they will inevitably appear. And you know what? To be fair, I think that's a totally fair way to look at it. But I would suggest a proactive approach. Boo can edgy, okay? And I would say diagnose. Why are you nervous? What about it is making you nervous? Are you afraid to lose? Are you afraid to embarrass yourself? Are you afraid that you're not going to be able to play as well as you do when you're at home? Figure out the root of your problem, and then address it. So let's say your problem is you just don't want to lose. You really want to win. And when you lose that first stock, suddenly you think to yourself, oh, I do not want to lose. I don't want to lose. Okay. And you start tensing up and you're in fight or flight mode, and suddenly you're not making sound, logical, comfortable decisions. Look, man, the moment I notice my opponent doing that thing, I am a shark in the water, and I'll make all their worst nightmares come true, right? The moment I sense that. And that's how you have to be, my friend. So what do? You make your goal not to win. You make your goal to play some damn good Smash, to have fun, to impress yourself, to challenge your opponent. Make your goal more vague. Try to learn something every one of your sets. Try to impress yourself each time you put the sticks in your hands. Don't try to win. Try to play some goddamn fantastic Smash Brothers. Impress yourself.
Yeah.
What's there to be nervous about?
Yeah. Here's what I propose, Peon. I think so. Every good system has both a proactive and a reactive element, because inevitably,
like a plan A and a plan B of sorts.
Yeah, I think that inevitably, even I face tournament nerves all the time. There's no way. I've done countless hours of introspection into what
we know. God damn it, do we know? There's a beige couch to prove it.
Yeah, into what makes me nervous. That does not change the nerves that I feel when I go into a game. I think you're absolutely right. I love the idea of figuring that out, reframing your game. and like going into it with a different fire. That being said, sometimes it happens. Like it's inevitable. So being able to have both this proactive element and this reactive element, it's like basically being vaccinated, but also taking like medication when you get sick, right?
Right.
So
I'm not even so sure the vaccinations themselves are a good idea. Also, AV, I was on a flight over here, and the Earth, I looked at it. It's pretty goddamn flat. When you're up there, you could kind of.
yeah, it really be like that, huh?
No. I'm sorry. The whole anti-vaxxer thing's fresh in my mind because my sister just had a baby last week, and like, so I was talking to her about like like her daughter needs to get the vaccinations that babies get, and apparently a bunch of people have been like, "You're not getting her vaccinated, right?" Like she's had a lot of people crawl to the woodworks that like she didn't know was an anti-vaxxer come approach her. And statistically speaking, AV, like we definitely have listeners that are anti-vaxxers like that right now are turning off the podcast. But I'm okay with that.
I think I'm okay with that too. We'll draw that line.
But I say this all while also admitting that last week I was sick and that's why we didn't put out an episode. So maybe I'm also not like the number one resource on like health and illness prevention.
Okay. Well, what you are a good resource is for our third and final question. Why don't you go and fire that up, man?
So Chemo asks,
Chimo.
Chimo.
I think that's Chimo.
Okay, Chemo or Chimo says, I live in one of the Nordic European countries, and I tried to join my local, but after a couple of times, I found, and I'm speaking from Chimo's perspective, I found I never really felt welcome and have since stopped playing Smash at tournaments and locals. Now, I'm an anime fighter playing Guilty Gear. What does one do when the only local nearby feels like a closed click? Online isn't really an option since it's really two different games, and Kima does not enjoy online. So what do you think about that, AB?
So first of all, I do want to say thank you for joining the Discord to ask this question. I know you mentioned that, and I think this is an incredibly meaningful question because I've seen this a lot. I've seen cliques form in Smash communities. I've seen cliques form in really any type of gathering space, and it's difficult. It's one of those things where I'm gonna give you advice that may not work for everyone. I know everyone has different levels of social of basically everyone has like a social meter of how much they can be like extroverted, and for some people this doesn't fit within their social meter, and that's totally okay. But my advice to you would be to like if you're only local nearby feels like a closed click, you have two options. You either form a new local and you form your own a smash scene with friends that you have there, or you assimilate. If you need to assimilate to get good LAN smash in, as long as they're not completely unreasonable people, because there's a difference between a clique that's like there's a difference between like the KKK, which is technically a clique that you don't want to be a part of, and the Flag Maker Association, which is probably also a clique. Like, so the flag makers are probably like a little like they'll like put themselves away in the corner of society, but they'll also probably eventually be very accepting to have you in. So try to butt your head in, try to get yourself, try to assimilate with those people. If Smash is something that is near and dear to your heart, if it isn't, maybe Guilty Gear is the way to go, because honestly, playing online, that being your only experience with Smash, is frustrating for me and probably way more for you. It hurts, say, like knowing that that's your only exposure in your area. But I would at least make at least one or two attempts to kind of break the ice with this group. And if you can, maybe if you can show them what's up, and you can like beat them, if you can beat them, sometimes that helps. If you can play a character that they're not used to, that helps. Like, just try out a bunch of those options, and honestly, it's just an overall unfortunate situation. But I feel you. I honestly feel you because I've seen this a lot
Yeah,
firsthand.
I guess whenever someone says like, "Oh, I went to an event and everybody was rude to me or something," I'm always like, "Okay, you were the guy that was rude." Like if it's everybody against one person, the one person's probably at fault in my head most of the time. I mean, that's just what I've observed over the world, right? And uh, to make this clear, uh, what do you stick with? Maybe Chimo?
We'll stick with Chimo.
Okay, Chimo is not making that claim. Chimo is not saying everybody was an asshole to me. It just was an environment that wasn't conducive to him feeling welcome. People didn't really go out of the way to say hi to him. People there were kind of cliquey, and okay, fair. But the only like if you go there and the environment is so bad that you just don't want to return to any tournament, this goes for everybody, just maybe you don't go, right? Maybe that is the answer, right? But before you make that decision, I think that you should at least try to make friends with one person there. I'm an extrovert. It's easy for me to penetrate cliques, so I'm speaking from a very privileged position on the matter where I will assert myself into a circle, uh, to the dismay of many or to the joy of many, usually the former. And I will say this: oftentimes when people are off, especially if you're introverted, you can look at a group of people who are all kind of who know each other, who aren't trying to be a clique, but maybe they've just been playing Smash together since Melee, and there's just like 15 core people that have known each other for 5 or 6 years, and they're just buddies. And it might not be a clique; they might just really get along, and you're the new guy. There's going to be that phase for a lot of people when they first go to tournaments. If it's like a mature scene that they're kind of going along with partway through, you just have to accept that. That just kind of comes to the territory. That's the beauty of Smash, though. It puts you in these social situations. When you play a game like World of Warcraft, Classic, which I do actually, well, I don't really want to be supporting Blizzard right now after the whole Hong Kong drama, so we'll just pass over that. But if you play like a socially isolated game, I mean to say, you aren't confronted with these opportunities to grow as a person. And like, look, man, getting introduced to a clique is an annoying, terrible situation. It's not fun, but it provides a lot of great opportunities to be a better person, right? Maybe one of these guys will surprise you. Maybe you can gain some confidence by gaining their approval. Maybe they'll actually end up being some worthwhile friends. But if they're dicks to you, don't take it, right? Don't. We would need a lot more. I would need a lot more information about all this to make a judgment call. But I don't think that you should let a clique deter you from entering the local scene unless it gets very, very bad. And you have to make that decision for yourself. But before you do, at least try to make friends with one of the people on an individual basis, right? Sit down with one guy, talk to them about their character, try to get to know them, and maybe as an individual, a couple of those guys will be cool, and you'll kind of be put into the group. Is all I'm saying.
Well said.
Well, AV, I think we've said enough things.
I think we have
this week. Christ Almighty. It's been a lot of fun. This has been a bit of a weird episode in a lot of ways. It's been kind of spicy. I don't know if it's because of the name of the game hot or not, but I feel charged. I feel ready to go. I think I might just lay down with that no. We're not going there. AV, it's been a pleasure, man. Where can people find you?
People can find me at A Vaidyanatha on Twitter. Now, I know that's kind of hard to spell, as it is my long Indian last name. So what you can do is you can head over to our podcast Twitter and get linked from there. Where can people find our podcast Twitter, Peon?
AV, you can find our podcast Twitter at Beyond Metagame. That's right, guys, at Beyond Metagame. The show you're currently listening to is called Beyond the Metagame, but Twitter does not give a damn, AV.
No, they do not.
You can find me personally at Peon_BTM. That is right, Peon_BTM. That is Bravo, Tango, Mike. For all of you magicians, And that about wraps it up, AV. As always, thank you for listening. Goodbye. This week's show was made possible by BTM patrons Be Chaotic, Zunon, Deem Guy, Big Tip, Danderson, Weasel, Ferris, Honk Lava, Giuseppe, Macatoon, Minlo, Pandora, Plunder, Robiert, and Ultimate.